I am excited to give you all one more look of the floor plan before it comes before you for a vote this evening. As I shared last week at the community meeting, this has been a very iterative process, many hours of planning and reflecting and gathering feedback and redesigning and getting it to a point that we really feel will be great for our students and our programming. Just to orient everyone with the floor plan, the way you see it now, in site options A, C, and D, we would have the front of the building, which is here on this side, by Hamilton Road. So Hamilton Road would be here on this left side on the west side. And then Havens Corners would be here on the north side. And then in site option B, same street orientation, but the front of the building would be reversed. It would be on this side. And we'll talk about that a little bit more later, but just wanted to give some orientation. So as we shared Monday evening of last week, we are going to see an increase in square footage from our current 392,737 square feet to 515,617 square feet. So overall, that is an increase of 31%. This is a big file, so sometimes it takes a little while to zoom and move. Starting here at the north end. So one of the great things about our building is we were able to split it into 3 chunks. And so I'm going to talk about the north end, the centralized area, and then the south end of the building. So starting here at the north end, this is the main vestibule where students would enter the building. Certainly there would be other entry points, but this is the main entrance. You'll notice here to the right of the vestibule, we have our SRO office, clinic space, and campus supervisor space. And so this is nice for added security here at our main entrance. In the vestibule to the left is where you'll see our main administrative office with reception, attendance, various office spaces. Mrs. Williams's office, additional conference room spaces. Moving north outside of the main office, this is where we will locate our Hamilton House alternative education program. And so we currently have Hamilton House in Hamilton Hall of our main building, and they have multiple spaces for the programming that's appropriate for their students. As we move further to the east, we will be going into our performing arts wing. And this particular section of our building has been very iterative as well. Lots of collaboration with teachers and staff, and just making sure that we have appropriate sizes, that we have appropriate angles on walls and things like that. And so you'll notice we have our band and orchestra classrooms stacked here with ensemble spaces in between. These particular walls at this point in time are planned to be operable so that we can expand the space. However, we will be working closely with acousticians to make sure that sound is not compromised and that the functionality is appropriate. You'll also notice there are storage spaces, multiple practice spaces for our music performing arts sections, classrooms. We also have sectional spaces down here at the southern end of the orchestra room. Another thing that we've worked into the design is making sure, of course, the number of students that work in this section of the building. We have exits here and exits here to 2 corridors, as well as from the orchestra room. That will help us with traffic flow. Moving farther to the east in our performing arts wing, you'll see we have our choir classroom and our black box theater. One of the cool things right now that we have for our black box theater is an operable wall that opens here to our performing arts commons. Again, the note that we will be working very closely with staff and acousticians about the impact of that operable wall on the function of the black box. The black box theater is currently where our theater classes are housed. You know, I talked, it's a really cool location because it does open to the performing arts commons, and then you'll notice this section right here is actually a learning stair. And so the opportunity for some theater style seating right there as well. And this is an opportunity for students to showcase their talents. So, you know, they may be sharing little mini plays that they do, or we might have student bands performing. We could showcase, student writing, lots of opportunity for using this space to showcase students' talents. A little farther north, we have, this is actually our music tech classroom. The label went away, so I apologize for that. But this is our music tech classroom, and this is a classroom that was moved later in the design phase to get it up in the performing arts wing, so that the students that maybe aren't into performing still have the ability to be creators and a part of performances, and have the ability to learn how to support shows and run equipment for those as well. You'll also notice as we move further, then we have our auditorium space and our stage. Our auditorium will seat 1,200 guests. That's about 800 on the first floor. And then up in the balcony, which we'll see on the third floor, is another 400 seats. And then we do have various support settings as well, such as costume shops. We have multiple uniform storages and some pretty cool ideas related to how those spaces will function. Dressing rooms, makeup spaces, and then over here to the right is our scene shop, which is directly connected to loading. So we will have nice garage doors that allow things to be delivered, move right into the scene shop, and then easily flow into the stage as well. And we've been working with Cindy Maciosi closely about the storage needed and some of the current equipment and scene materials that they have. It was funny, I talked with her last week, and there was a question about, is there any intention to do some purging? And we laughed, we said, there's no purging. You never know when you're gonna need a street light. So lots of space for storage and a nice large scene shop. So moving down in this direction to the south, we have our main kitchen servery. And in this area will be, a lot of our hot food will be served. We still have a lot of planning to do related to the kitchen area and the serveries and the lunch options. But this is where we will have various stations for food, multiple checkout lines. And then you'll notice that this opens here into, again, this performing arts common, but this is one of the areas where we will also have students seated for dining. As I move through the floor plan, I'll show other areas where students will sit for lunch, but we have enough space for 1,000 students to be seated across 3 lunch periods in the day. And so this is one of those areas. Moving down south, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. This is where we get to our more centralized location. And this is where we have our academic prides. And our academic prides look the same, primarily as far as shape and classroom layout on all 3 floors. But you'll notice we have here the North Pride and then the South Pride down here. And these prides hold our core content classes, classrooms, courses such as math, English, social studies, world language. Also, you can see in green, these are signaling our science labs that we will have in each of the prides. One of the really cool things about this floor plan that we were able to see in action and visit in multiple schools are these extended learning areas that are in the center of our prides. And our extended learning areas really provide opportunity for the classroom to extend out beyond the traditional classroom walls, and provides opportunities for students to engage, beyond their classroom in things like book clubs and project-based learning opportunities. Also great space for pull-out small group teacher support. That's definitely something that we saw when we visited in in buildings across the state of Ohio. One of the cool things we were able to observe was a pre-calc class and a physics class working collaboratively in an interdisciplinary model. So students were kind of in the classroom space, spilled out here in extended learning, doing some calculations, and then in the science lab, able to be building catapults. And so a lot of interdisciplinary real world project-based learning opportunities. Some other things to highlight. You will see we have several small group and large group spaces throughout the floor plan, and those have flexible uses. We also have these darker purple areas, which are called teacher labs. These will be departmentalized. There's been a lot of discussion about the teacher labs over time. At our last meeting with the teachers, we got a lot of positive feedback about the fact that they would be in their departments, able to collaborate with teachers that teach the same content that they do. And so you'll notice there's a teacher lab, 2 teacher labs on each floor. So there's one here and one here as well. This circle area are classrooms that surround this courtyard space. And so this courtyard space will be built out and developed, and we'll work with teachers on what kinds of things that they want to see in the primary uses. But there are multiple entry points into that courtyard from classrooms around this circle area. So I talked a little bit about the dark purple. The lighter purple indicates some of our special education spaces. And so we have some small group intervention rooms. And then we also have a block here on 2 of our floors where some of our specialized programming units will be housed. And so some really fantastic spaces to support that specialized programming. As I move farther to the east, this is where you'll start to see some of our elective classes. Our art classes, our CTE classes. CTE stands for Career Technical Education. And so this is our school store connected to our DECA classroom, a wonderful program at our high school. And then if you notice, right underneath the learning stair right here, see if I can zoom in a little bit, the opportunity for a coffee shop. That could be a student-run coffee shop as well. And then moving further down this corridor, we have a couple of our art classrooms, sculpture and ceramics. We also have expanded our Fab Lab, which is one of our fantastic programs that we always have lots of students that want to be joining. And so we were able to kind of, with guidance from our teacher, separate out some specific spaces and also allow for more students to be able to capitalize on that programming. So moving further down south, we have our architecture program. And then here kind of centralized on each floor, you'll notice an administrative and a school counseling or mental health hub on each floor. And so, the idea behind this is to have students have immediate access to their counselors and administrators and have those teams working collaboratively to support students. We've seen this in other buildings. We actually just got some feedback today from an administrator that has this particular setup in their building, and he just was raving about how well it was working and how the students are really benefiting from having their support teams right there on each floor. Moving further south, this is where we have our TV broadcast space, and so we've been able to expand this area. Of course, we have the beautifully renovated TV studio on main campus now. Mark Lowry is thrilled about some of these specialized spaces that he'll have, and so we have our TV broadcast area. And then this is an additional food service area, so an a la carte space. This may be more of a grab and go where students can pick up salads or snacks. And then the additional seating here in this commons. And we currently have this referred to as our athletic commons, because as we reach here on the south end of our building, you will notice this is our athletics wing. So this particular space has a competition gym that will seat 2,500. So that's a pretty significant increase for us, with multiple locker rooms that will be shared appropriately across the seasons. We also have on the first floor meeting room space. We have our training room, which is has grown in size to accommodate our teams. And then a new career technical education program that will actually be starting next year has a location here by the training room, which will have an athletic training program. And so it was cool proximity wise that even though we'll be starting the program next year, it'll be located here at Clark Hall. And one of the asks early on was, can it be close to the training room? So it was nice that we were able to design to allow that to happen. This last section here in the athletics common is our field house. And this will serve our teams well, supporting with PE classes, supporting with practices. And we've also already been working to brainstorm what types of other outside organizations might be able to benefit from utilizing this space as well. So you'll notice a separate vestibule and concessions area down here as well. So that if the community is utilizing this space, they've got some opportunity as well for those amenities. As we move up to the second floor, I'm going to stay here at the south end. You'll notice that we have our weight room and our wrestling room on the second floor. Those are the largest spaces here in the athletics area on the second floor. We also have a coach's suite, which will be the office hubs for our coaches throughout the seasons. However, I mentioned on the first floor and also on the second floor, we have meeting spaces then where coaches will be able to meet with their teams outside of the locker rooms. This purple space is one of our alternative programs in our special education department. And so they utilize these spaces here in their programming currently. And so they were able to be located appropriately there. As we move further north on the second floor, you'll see our health classrooms, business classrooms, and then this is an additional food kiosk as well. Some of the schools we visited had sub shops on the second floor, third floor, and so lots of opportunity for working with our food service coordinator and our high school staff about what those food options look like and hearing from kids about what they're interested in and having available to them. Moving further north, as I mentioned, the floors kind of replicate, they stack, which is nice for efficiency. Also helps having students access their classes more quickly. I did want to touch here on the second floor. I did not mention it on the first floor, but we have our media center here that spans 2 floors with a tech help desk here that's been moved to be a part of the media center. And then we also have additional stairs that help us to get from each floor so that we have multiple ways for students to be traveling, again, for efficient access to their classrooms. This is another set of special education support units. And as we move further north in this corridor, we have some more of our specialized art classes, as well as some additional classroom space, smart lab space, our academic success center. And then finally, I will move over to the third floor. You'll notice here, this is that balcony I mentioned with the additional 400 seats for the auditorium, with additional classroom space, some of our career technical education programs, our teaching professions, and then you'll see throughout, we also have additional classroom space for future career technical education programs. And so that was one of the things that we heard in feedback from the community and in collaboration with students, that there was high interest in those programs, but they like to stay on our campus to access those. And so opportunity to grow our offerings and incorporate those on main campus. And then this is, you can see some of those career technical spaces, as I mentioned. And then this last core group of classrooms are family consumer science. And so what we've been talking with the architects about as well is the opportunity for collaborating with those classes and maybe having even another food offering here on the third floor, but there's some additional seating that can be used as well. So that's our building, that's our floor plan. I think one of the things that we love the most about this is not only does it meet our programming needs, but it also offers a lot of flexibility within classrooms and programs, but also, in an efficient manner where it's easier for students to access their classes. There's been a lot of collaboration. We've gathered a lot of feedback along the way. Just today, I pulled up, we have a spreadsheet where we've been capturing all of our teacher feedback along the way as well. And it's just really fulfilling to be able to see the number of boxes we've been able to check to make sure that we are really meeting the needs of our teachers and our students. So a really exciting time for Gahanna and what we'll be able to provide in this new high school.